All right, so just to recap what we did yesterday. So we started with our new method of factoring, which is MAF plus. So MAF plus is when you have three terms, but that first number is not one. Everyone in here is used to doing MAF when that first number is the number one. So for example, when we were doing MAF and it was x squared plus 6x plus 8, this was real easy because that first number was the number one. So the only thing you had to worry about was getting m, which was the last number, getting a, which was the middle number, and then finding the two numbers that multiply to 8 and to 6. So this was the old way. This is the old way of doing MAF. When the first number is 1. When the first number is not 1, then you have a little bit longer of a process to go through. There's a little bit longer of a process to go through. So remember, yesterday, our first two examples was literally just going through it step by step, making sure that we understood what each part is. Now, everyone in here has a brain, is intelligent. You have to use that brain and you have to ask for help when you don't understand something. Point blank and period. No one's going to help you unless you step up and ask. So, I'm telling some of y'all right now, stop being all shy. Stop worrying about what other people are going to think or say. There's only one math teacher in this on here right now, and that's the one that's talking. The first person that talks about you because you asked a question, I'm coming for them. They don't want these problems. They don't want these problems. So if you got a question, you ask. I don't care if you think it's something as simple as 2 plus 2. You ask. But we did examples 1 and 2 yesterday, in which we went through every single step. Find the greatest common factor. If there's a greatest common factor, divide it out. If it's just 1, then you keep going. Then we identified A, B, and C, transformed it into an MAF problem, rewrote the middle part, split it into 2 groups, factored using GCF, and then we were able to write our final answer. Again, it's written in different parts so that people can follow it step by step. Some people need to see it step by step. Some people know what they're doing and can just run through it. But either way it goes, you're going to do some work. I don't care how long it takes. You're going to do the work. If I can do the work to make the notes page, you can do the work to do the problem. So we did examples 1 and 2. We did example 3 before time ran out on us on yesterday. So today we're going to do 3 more examples. We'll do 1 more regular example. Then we're going to do 2 examples in which we have a greatest common factor that we got to take out first. That's going to leave 3 examples to do on Thursday, in which we're going to be solving the equation. We go back to solving equations. So, let's pick this up with example number 4. Pick it up with example number 4. We'll make this a little bit bigger. Go ahead and make this work. So example 4. You have 4g squared minus 17g plus 15. 4g squared minus 17g plus 15. So, remember our first step. First step is greatest common factor. So, first step is GCF. So we got a 4, we got 17, we got 15. So what's the biggest number I can take out? Is there anything that will divide into all three numbers? 1. Worst comes to worst, if nothing works, 1 will. The number 1 will. Do we have the same variable? No. So your GCF is 1. You don't. Nothing we can really do right now. All right, boy, when I write, you write. Put it your nails later. When I write, you write. Step 2 is to identify A, B, and C. So, change color. So, we have 4G squared minus 17G plus 15. So the A is in front of the G squared. So that means A is equal to 4. The B is in front of the G. So B is negative 17. C is the number with no letter attached to it. It's 15. We know our A, B, and C. Any questions before we continue? If you got questions, don't wait till the end. You ask the second that you have it, because some of y'all know you're going to forget. Don't wait till the end. So, step 3 is to do the MAF. That's where you do MAF. So, to get M, you take the A and the C values and multiply them together. So A times C, so that is equal to 4 times 15, that's 60. 4 times 15 is 60. The A value is whatever B was equal to, so negative 17. F is 2 numbers that multiply 60 and add to negative 17. Multiply 60 and add to negative 17. So now we have to do some thinking. Now it's time to do some thinking. We have to figure out what these 2 numbers are. If they even work. So, struggle with what multiplies 60? You got a factor chart. Use it. Here's my factor chart. There's all the numbers that multiply to 60. Which of those numbers has any chance of getting to 17? Well, you can't take 1 unless you take the 60. Sure you can. Sure you can. Well, you're supposed to get it, but so this is all the ways you can multiply 60. You're trying to figure out what's going to add to 17. So we can use 5 and 12. So 5 and 12. So 5 times 12 is 60.
5 plus 12 is 17. We need it negative. So, we make both of them negative. Negative 5 times negative 12 is positive 16. Negative 5 plus negative 12 is negative 17. So there's your two numbers, negative 5 and negative 12.
Again, getting the numbers is probably the hardest part. But that's why you gotta know how to add and why you gotta know how to multiply. I can't help you with those two. You gotta know how to do that. Any questions before we keep going? You gotta be willing to put in the work. All right, step 4, split the middle. So, splitting the middle up. You have 4g squared minus 17g plus 15. You've got your two numbers. We're going to split the middle up. So the middle, I'm going to put negative 12 first and negative 5 second. So why did I put 12 first? Because I know 4 divides into 12. Why did I put 5 second? Because I know 5 divides into 15. So again, you've got to know basic math in order to make it work. Basic math, you've got to know to make it work. So the middle is now split up. Luke, you taking notes over there? Step 5, make two groups. Step 5 is make two groups. Don't make that harder than what it is. Don't make that harder than what it is. Make the first two a group, and make the second two a group. So don't make that harder than what it is. Step 6. Factor each group. So we'll get the first group. You have a 4 and a 12. What divides out of 4 and 12? 2, you can do better than that. Biggest number is 4. They both have a variable, same letter. Take out the same letter. Right? If you stuck, you let me know. Remember what I talked to you about yesterday? You take out 4g. You're left with g minus 3. Go to that second group. So the second group. The second group begins with a minus, so you're going to take out a minus. It began with a plus, you take out a plus. What divides out of 5 and 15? Take out a 5. Divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by negative 5 is negative 30. What did I tell you should happen if you did this correctly? See who was paying attention yesterday. If you did this correctly, what should have happened? You go back and look at your notes. Right now with step number 6. The parentheses should match. If you did this correctly, the parentheses should match. And would you look at that? The parentheses match. Parentheses match. So since the parentheses match, bring the parentheses down. Divide it out. You get 4G minus 5. There's your answer. So we went through another one step by step. This time, it wasn't given to us. It wasn't given to us this time. So, just like yesterday, let me wait a whole minute, let people look through this problem and see if there's any questions that they have. And you should always be asking yourself, could I have solved this out by myself? The answer is no. Then figure out where you would have gotten stuff and ask. So when you take your quiz this Friday, this is on it. Yeah, I do feel a little bad for the people who got to get their grades up. Because this is probably the hardest part of the school year. Well, you got to do that work now. Can't do anything about it. "30 more seconds, and then you go on. Well, we're going to start example 5 together. You're going to finish it yourself. We're going to start 5 together. You're going to finish it yourself. All right, so looks like we're okay. Not hearing any, not seeing any, don't see anything in the chat. So it looks like it's time to move on to example 5. So let's look at example 5. So like I said, we are going to start it together, and you're going to finish it yourself. You're going to start it together, you're going to finish it yourself. So, we're going to start it together and finish it yourself. So we have 12p squared minus 22p plus 10. First step is still the same. First step is still the same, GCF. So you have a 12, 22, and a 10. What can I divide out of all 3 numbers? What could I possibly divide out of all 3 of them? 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 22 divided by 2 is 11. 10 divided by 2 is 5. We'll divide by 2. Here's number 2. Do they all have the same variable? No. You can't take out a variable.
So your GCF is 2. So since it's 2, you can divide by 2. So we're going to take this problem and divide everything by 2. Take everything and divide by 2. So you get 6p squared minus 11p plus 5. That's greatest common factor. So this time you had a greatest common factor. Any questions before we continue? Lori, you okay back there? You sure? Oh, we doing MAF. Every step is getting done. Step 2. Identify A, B, and C. So A, B, and C inside parentheses. So A equals 6, B equals negative 11, and C equals 5. There's A, B, and C. So, we're going to do half of step 3 together, and then I'm going to leave you, I'll give you time to try to finish the rest of the problem. You're doing MAF. I'm not doing all of MAF. So the M, you take A and C, multiply together. What's 6 times 5? 21. 30. A is the middle number, so that's negative 11. So you need 2 numbers that multiply 30, add to negative 11. What are they? So a negative 6 and a negative 5. Negative 6 and negative 5. Any questions before you finish the problem? Give you a chance to try to finish it yourself. The struggle for some of these just going to have to be real. So, the other step that you need to do is to split the middle term. Split the middle up. Break into 2 groups. Factor each group. It's the right answer. Those are the other 4 steps. So, pause my recorder real quick. All right, so now we're going to finish the problem. Now that you've had a little bit of time, for some of you, probably go through the struggle with solving the problem. So again, part of this exercise is, some of you all have to understand, if you know that you're struggling, you got to ask for help. I don't mind if you struggle. I do mind that if you're struggling, you don't say nothing. So, we left off after we figured out the 2 numbers. So if you split the middle term up, so you have 2 parentheses 6p squared minus 11p plus 5. This 2, that's part of the final answer. That's not going to be touched anymore. The middle term, split it apart. With negative 6p on one side, negative 5p on the other. Why did I choose to write it that way? Because 6 divides into 6. 5 divides into 5. I want them close to something that it's going to divide into. So that's splitting. That's all split the middle term means. That's all that meant. So that should have been an easy step. Break it into 2 groups. That should be an easy step. There's one group. There's another group. So I can highlight them because I have a highlighter. You can circle yours. You can underline yours. But you need to break them into 2 groups. Now we factor each group. The first group, 6 and 6, you can divide by 6. P and P, they both have the same letter. Take out the letter P. So 6P, parentheses, 6 divided by 6 is 1, so 1P minus 1. So that's the first group. Second group. Remember, if it begins with the minus sign, you got to take out the minus sign. Begins with a minus, you take out the minus. And 5 and 5 can divide by 5. So P minus 1. How do you know you did it correctly? The parentheses should match. If the parentheses match, you get it right. That means all you got to do is write your answer and the problem's over. P minus 1 matched. There you go. 6P minus 5. 6P minus 5. The 2 that you took out at the very start of the problem, all you have to do is bring it down. You did what? What'd you do?
I carried the 12 instead of 2 the whole time. I got the same correct. Mine P minus 2, but I see I made a mistake. I'm carrying the 12 instead of the 2.
Small mistakes. Small mistake. Any questions on example 5? We're going to run it back one more time with example 6. Again, this is a life lesson for every single person in here. You never know what you are capable of doing until you realize you don't have a choice. Hey, what's up, guys? There you go. You never know what you are capable of doing until you realize you don't have a choice. Once you realize you don't have a choice, you'd be surprised what you can miraculously know how to do. So, example 6. So, first glance at that problem, what does it start with? What's the first thing you see starting that problem? A negative. It's starting with a negative. So since it's starting with a negative, you're going to have to take that out. So when you do the greatest common factor, that's your first step anyway.
Remember, the first step is GCF. That negative is going to have to come out. So your biggest number is going to be a negative something. You have a 16, you have a 20, and you have a 6. What can I divide out of all this? 2. You can take out a 2. Do they all have the same variable? Do they all have the letter Q in it? They all have the letter Q. So your GCF is negative 2Q. So we're going to divide out negative 2Q. So take out negative 2Q. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Q squared. 20 divided by 2 is 10. 6 divided by 2 is 3. There's where it's coming back. Step 2. Identify A, B, and C. A, B, C. A is 8, B is 10, C is 3. Now we do MAF. Now we do MAF. So M is take the A and the C, multiply it together. What's 8 times 3? 24. A is just your B value, 10. So we need two numbers that multiply to 24 and add to 10. 6 and 4. 6 and 4. So now you've got the two numbers that you need to split the middle apart. Now you have the two numbers that you need. Take the middle and split it apart. So I'm going to put the 4 next to the 8 and the 6 next to the 3. Again, you can put those in whichever order you want. That part doesn't matter. So, all right. Give you a couple minutes let you finish it. Pause my note. Go ahead and wrap this problem up. So, what we picked up, where we left off, what divides into, so there's one group, there's the other group. I didn't have to highlight it, just underlined it. What comes out of 8 and 4? I do better. 4. Do they both have a Q? They got the Q. So 4Q, 8 divided by 4 is 2. 2Q plus 1. The second group started with a plus. You take out a plus. What divides into 6 and 3? Take out a 3. Can I take out a Q? No, because the 3 doesn't have a Q.
2Q is 20. Look at that, parentheses match. Let you know you did it correctly. Take the parentheses out. Take the other two parts out. And there's negative 2Q, which you started with. Comes back down. It's not a hard problem. You just have to pay attention to what you're doing. That's why I purposely went so slow. That's why the first homework assignment on this, which is due on Friday, literally, problem 1, just take out the greatest common factor. Problem 2, take out the greatest common factor, then identify A, B, and C. Problem 3, take out the greatest common factor, identify A, B, and C, then do MAF. Step 4, take out the greatest common factor, identify A, B, and C, do MAF. Now split the middle term off. It's literally forcing you to do every single part, but it's giving you practice in doing it as well. So, practice makes perfect.